Hey guys, Hunter from Theme Park Hunting here. We have a lot to dive into today as I recently got to ride Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind for the first time. This anticipated coaster that's been built for 5 years. We have a lot to talk about, so let's dive right into it. Before we dive into this review, obviously, look at this. We are live. You can see me as I'm doing this review. Now, this all isn't done by me. I do have a place to this yet. That's why this laptop isn't really themed towards me, but don't worry. There's going to be a lot more advancements that come with this set very soon, and I'm so excited for the future of this. So let's dive right into this highly anticipated review of Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. So, Guardians of the Galaxy, this is a Vekoma storytelling coaster that has been hyped up for years now and is finally opened up at Epcot, and I was able to get a few rides during the past of the previews and all the other special previews like DVC and D23. We have a lot to dive into with this because Guardians of the Galaxy actually replaced an old dark ride that was named Universe of Energy. You joined Ellen DeGeneres and Bill Nye the Science Guy on a journey through the prehistoric times with dinosaurs. Then you watched a short movie with these giant screens surrounding you. I know a lot of people are like, Ellen DeGeneres, Bill Nye the Science Guy, the heck is this at Disney? It really made no sense, but honestly, I loved it. It was super relaxing. It was a very nostalgic ride for me. One of my favorites to do at Epcot. And while many may disagree, I was sad when they announced the closure of this ride. In fact, I was more sad when this was announced to be closed more than Great Movie Ride. And both actually closed on the same day. So I wrote it on its last day of operation in August of 2017. Both this ride and the Great Movie Ride over Hollywood Studios on the same day. So it was a really sad day, not just for me, but many Disney fans, as I'm happy I got to ride on it, but man, it was like both these classic vintage Disney rides closing on the same day. It hurt. But the one thing that's actually even more sad is how long it took Guardians to open, because it took almost 5 full years to construct and open. Now, I know obviously they had to go through COVID and all that. That makes sense. So I understand maybe a 2-year delay or something like that. But Mickey and Minnie's, for example, only took 2 years to get built and reopen after the Great Movie Ride closed. Great Movie Ride closing in August of 2017. Mickey and Minnie's opening in March of 2020. So they didn't quite make it to that full 3 years. They got it done in time. And that really shows the progression because sure, Great Movie Ride and Mickey and Minnie's obviously wasn't as drastic of a change of Universe of Energy to Guardians of the Galaxy, but Mickey and Minnie's is quite an advanced ride with many new systems and much new technology, whereas Guardians, while there is new technology, I feel like it wasn't quite as prototypical as some of the things on Mickey and Minnie really were. Obviously, don't get me wrong, at the end of the day, Guardians is a lot more impressive than Mickey and Minnie's, plus they had to build a whole separate building and completely redo the queue for this ride, as the Universe of Energy building, that whole soundstage, is only used for the queue, pre-show, and station. So I'm not complaining, but after riding this, I can safely say it was worth the 5-year wait. And that's just shocking to say, because if you're waiting 5 years for really anything, it better be good. It better be the best thing out there. If you're waiting 5 full years, and I can safely say that this is worth it. Walking up to Guardians, you are greeted with this giant Nova Corps ship, and this ship is gigantic. I remember the first time I saw it, I was just in shock, like when it was under construction, before they even finished it. When I really saw the scale of this ship, I'm like, oh my gosh, this facade is already going to be one of the best in Disney history. You can really see it from any angle when you walk into World Discovery. It's super impressive and really well done. You then walk up to the entrance of this ride, and you'll see the information sign, the height requirement, which is only 42 inches, so kids of all ages can ride this. And I feel like that's pretty crazy because, sure, Disney is known for having low height requirements for rides. Like Big Thunder Mountain, I think, is only 40 inches. And you have rides like Icebreaker, which is made for the families, now having a 54-inch height requirement. Sure, it was supposed to open with 48, but still, you look at those kinds of rides having 54-inch height requirements in a ride like Guardians, which, yeah, I feel like thrill-wise isn't as powerful as Icebreaker. But when you really look at it from a whole thing, Guardians definitely should have a higher height requirement than 42 inches in the grand scheme of things, but nope, it doesn't, which is really, really good. The entrance will read, "Welcome Terrans," as that is what the people of Xandar call us humans. Obviously, for those who don't know, Terra is Latin for Earth, so if you ever wondered what Terrans means, it's basically us being called Earthens in Latin. So, I guess that makes some sense. You'll find the magic band / ticket scanners at both the standby and Lightning Lane entrance because, unfortunately, when it does open, it will utilize a boarding group system / virtual queue, whatever you decide to call it. And, I mean, at the end of the day, I understand. We all saw that Disney utilized the system on most of their new rides since 2019. We saw it on Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, was the original prototype system for the boarding groups, and we saw them on Remy's Ratatouille Adventure over at Epcot when that opened recently. We didn't see it on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which was pretty confusing, especially even when it opened a couple days before the park shut down for COVID. When it reopened for COVID, they didn't leave it. I know Rise of the Resistance needed it more, but it still was pretty surprising to see them not utilize that system. Which is also confusing because Rise of the Resistance utilized this system for over 2 years. For the longest time, you could not get on this ride without a boarding group, and they sold out quick. Meanwhile, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, they only utilized the system for about 4 months, so it really is going to depend on the popularity of this attraction to see how long it really lasts on Cosmic Rewind. It'll be interesting to see what's in store for this virtual queue system over at Guardians. I definitely wouldn't be surprised if it lasts throughout the entire summer, all the way till around Labor Day, and I wouldn't be surprised if Disney does pull the plug for it between Labor Day and Halloween. If they don't and they continue to utilize this system, then it definitely could last until 2023. I know that sucks, but when you look at a ride like Guardians, this thing is going to be popular. And for those who did it, we already saw that this ride is definitely going to suffer some major downtime when it opens. It was suffering some horrible downtime during the earlier pass holder previews. I haven't experienced anything like this, but I know a lot of people who have, so definitely going to be a lot of trouble throughout that time. But hopefully, if the downtime goes smooth and maintenance ends up making that ride really reliable, then we will definitely see the virtual queue system get pulled after Labor Day. Obviously, this would suck if the boarding groups were limiting you to 1 ride per day, but luckily with this new Disney system of Genie Plus and Lightning Lane, we are able to possibly get 2 rides on Guardians every day. However, you will have to spend an extra $15. I know that $8 to $15 price range can depend on the day, but let's be real. Guardians is going to be super popular when it opens, and it's going to be the biggest ride at Epcot when it does open. So that $15 mark will always be there. It's the same thing with Rise of the Resistance. I've never seen Rise of the Resistance go below $15 for Lightning Lane. Guardians is definitely going to be the same way for a really, really long time. And it'll definitely be on that individual Lightning Lane list for a really, really long time, kind of like Frozen Ever After. And I know some people may disagree with this, but personally, I just know that Guardians is going to be way more popular than Remy's, both with the virtual queue system and whenever they go back to standby. It's easily going to be the most popular ride in the park. Frozen may take it over some days because of its family aspect, but it's definitely going to take over rides like Soarin', Test Track, and Remy's without a doubt, because this ride really, especially once you guys get a ride on it, it's going to be that caliber of an attraction like Rise of the Resistance, where guests are going to want to ride this thing nonstop. Now, I know I've shown lots of clips already, but everything that is coming up will share detailed spoilers for Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. So if you don't want detailed spoilers, then you're going to want to skip this section of the review. If you do, then, well, let's just dive right into it. So going back to the attraction, after you scan and you go under the Welcome Terran sign, you are entering the Wonders of Xandar. So basically, this entrance is a lot like Universe of Energy, where you walk in, there's a wall over here, and then you enter the giant pre-show room. Here you enter the Galaxarium, and this is one impressive room. The projection is crystal clear, and the show on top actually runs for over 20 minutes. So if the ride breaks down and you're stuck in this room, or the queue is really long, as long as you're looking up, you have a long show. It is extremely rare you'll get to see the full loop. Every time I've gone into it, the show's playing, but it's something I haven't seen before on it. And I feel like it's going to take a while until I really recognize a clip from that show. It's really impressive that they made it that long. The clear glass fencing too is really nice, and the way it's laid out looks really cool and super futuristic. As you exit the Galaxarium, you'll continue up some switchbacks where you'll see these cool lights on top. Now for me, I thought these lights looked like they were straight out of Pandora, not made to be in the Wonders of Xandar Pavilion. They look like something you'll see hanging down from Navi River Journey or Satuli Canteen, but that could just be me. You'll then enter some of the exhibits here in the Wonders of Xandar, where you'll find this cool 3D model of Xandar, with projections playing on the model. You'll also find a 3D model of both the Nova Corps ship and Star-Lord ship, and you'll find different outfits that the Nova Corps wear, and even these have cool 3-dimensional screens that play like a new style show where the host even interviews the Guardians themselves. So there are different sequences with Peter Quill and Gamora, Peter Quill and Drax, Rocket and Groot. There's a lot of different sequences. And again, every time I've gone through this queue, I see something new every time. A new part of the show is playing. So they really made sure they entertain you in this queue. Now, the only con of this is really that there isn't a lot of it. The queue itself really only lasts around 20 to 30 minutes, and that's if it goes all the way through. So, sure, it seems long, but when you really think about the caliber of this ride isn't just going to have 20 to 30 minute lines. It's going to have hour and a half waits. Where's all that extra queue going? So I feel like it's going to be like Rise of the Resistance a lot of the time, where you're going to be let out of even Galaxy's Edge into like the Muppets extended queue or something. You're going to end up somewhere that really doesn't feel like you should be, because they didn't even build an extended queue for this ride. It's not like Rise where you have that extended queue out. There's nothing here. So that's another main reason I think the virtual queue is going to be around for a while, because they did not build an extended queue for this ride. They maybe might add one very soon because they're going to see that this ride is going to be a big deal. But it's really surprising to see that they didn't even try for the biggest ride really in Epcot history. And even with the indoor queue itself, as great as it is, I definitely feel like they could have done more. They used the entire Universe of Energy show building for the queue, the pre-show, and the station. And we'll get to the pre-show and station too. They are big and impressive. But I would be shocked if there is not a section that is completely empty and abandoned in Universe of Energy. It just doesn't make sense that a building that big, especially if you saw the station and the size of the show scenes in Universe of Energy, there's just no way that entire building is used. I would be shocked. So it's really confusing to see that, because, again, like I've gone on the whole rant of how it's going to be such a big ride, but there's no doubt in my mind that some section of this building is either completely abandoned or maybe used for employee space. I truly have no idea. Again, the gift shop, the Wonders of Xandar, as of this recording, hasn't been open yet. So maybe that thing itself is gigantic and is utilizing the rest of it, but there's just no way they use the full show building to its full potential. And now you enter the first pre-show room, and a lot of people are calling this a dentist office, which is pretty funny because I can totally see that. When the doors open, you enter the first pre-show, where Nova Prime Arani Rael welcomes you to the Wonders of Xandar. She explains how Earth and Xandar aren't that different since they both existed after the Big Bang. She then says how she's going to be bringing you all to Xandar with the Cosmic Generator. Using the power from the Cosmic Generator, we will be teleported to a Nova ship above Xandar. Right after this, we are introduced to Centurion Tal Merrick, played by Terry Crews. After a funny introduction, he tells you how you are going to be teleported to the Nova ship. The doors open once again, and you then enter the teleportation chamber, ending the first pre-show. This first pre-show, I mean, it's really good. It does a great job of explaining what is going to happen. You get introduced to the Cosmic Generator, which is what you're going to be hunting after the entire ride itself. You're introduced to Tal Merrick, who's going to play a big role on this ride, and it does a great job of introducing it. The only thing is, I can just tell after my third go of this pre-show, I'm like, man, this is going to get annoying real quick. Just like the Flight of Passage pre-show that takes forever. It's like, I just know I'm going to walk in here and be like, can I just skip it? Like, it's going to get annoying fast if you're a frequent Disney visitor. And, I mean, sure, that's like with the thing with every pre-show, but like, Rise of the Resistance, I look forward to those pre-shows. This one, not so much. After this, you enter the teleportation chamber. As the lights and sounds intensify, it then becomes pitch black for a couple seconds, and when the lights turn back on, you'll find yourself on the Nova ship. The effect is super impressive, and even though Disney took a page out of Universal's book with the Poseidon's Fury effect, that's what everyone's kind of calling it, I think it's a great effect, and some people are really going to be surprised by it, but the only thing that just kind of made me a little mad was they definitely had to tone down this pre-show from what it originally was. In the concept art, we saw a Rocket and Groot animatronic. And again, while this effect is great, Universal built Poseidon's Fury when Islands of Adventure opened in '99. So you see them using an effect from a show from 1999. Sure, they perfected it, but it's kind of like you're building this new age coaster, and here's an effect that's back in the 90s. You know, it's like, they definitely could have done a little bit better, but I'm not complaining because the effect is really well done. When it opens, you're on the Nova ship, and the Nova ship itself is really impressive. You got the two screens there. You got the giant 8K screen showing that you are in space. It's a really great room. It looks really well done, but there definitely was supposed to be a little bit more for it. You then are focusing on the cosmic generator, and then out of nowhere, it goes black for a split second, and the cosmic generator disappears. This thing is shocking how quick they make this cosmic generator disappear. Because it is real, and you see it's real, and out of nowhere, in a matter of a second, it just disappears out of nowhere. And you're like, how is this even possible? Because I had to turn up, when I was watching this video, I had to turn up the exposure all the way when it goes dark, just to see how they do it so quick. And what it actually does is it drops down the cosmic generator itself. But they do it so fast and so seamless that it really looks like it disappeared. So that's a really, really cool effect. The alarm then goes off, and they call in the Guardians of the Galaxy, telling them that the cosmic generator was stolen. After this, a massive celestial appears with the cosmic generator in hand, and he says that he's using the cosmic generator to go back in time to fix an error. As Tal Merrick then instructs us to our evacuation shuttles, Rocket reprograms them to enter the jump point to follow the celestial to get back the generator. After this, the doors open, and we then enter the station for this ride. The biggest thing that caught me off guard was the fact that this was a dual loading station style, like Big Thunder Mountain or Space Mountain. I really wasn't expecting that at all. And I'm really glad about this, honestly, because that'll help capacity big time. You then walk over a bridge and make your way down to the loading area, where you will then board your ride vehicle, pull down your lap bar, and dispatch out of the station. So once you board your ride vehicle, you then dispatch, and you see the Guardians telling you it is time to go through the jump point, and they wish you best of luck. You then proceed up a small dry tire lift and exit the ship and go through the jump point. After, your vehicles will start to spin as you then enter a large dark room where you find the Celestial and the Guardians. The Guardians purposely crash into the generator, which opens up a wormhole and sucks the Celestial and the Guardians into it. After a second or two, the wormhole then explodes, which is to tribute the Big Bang, and that will kickstart the ride as you launch backwards at 65 miles an hour. First, I can just safely say this is the coolest way to start a ride. The backwards launch is highly anticipated in the ride, as most people know it's coming. And the fact that Gamora just says, "I think we jumped back," and there's that 2 seconds of sheer silence before the train launches. I don't know why, but it just feels perfect. It's like the best way of launching because you're anticipating it. It's like, here we go, and it feels like everything freezes for a second because you get all that anticipation, then boom, 2 seconds of silence, and then boom, you're launching backwards. It's like everything just freezes, and it feels so freaking cool. When the launch kicks in, you then go through this cool light tunnel, your song starts to play, and the coaster begins. The song selection on this ride, too, is amazing. There are 6 different songs you can get. For me, my favorite probably has to be Everybody Wants to Rule the World. It just fits really well with that ride. Some other good ones are like September and Conga. Oh man, it's a perfect soundtrack for this ride. After the launch, you climb up, past some cool lights, and enter the massive show building. So from outside, you'll see the Energy Pavilion, which is where the Q pre-shown station is, as I said earlier. A long tunnel that connects between the 2 buildings. This is where that launch tunnel is going to be. And the massive blue show building itself, where all of the coaster takes place. And this building is gigantic. On the outside, it looks big. On the inside, it's even bigger. When you enter the building, you are just greeted with these massive screens that show the Guardians fighting the Celestial, trying to get back the cosmic generator. And the ride is twisting and turning and spinning all over the place. This ride is really action-packed. I can't go into the layout because, to be honest, it just doesn't make sense because of how much it just twists around itself. But I'll dive into the important parts. There's no inversions, there's no big drops, the ride is just constantly twisting around itself. You go through a bit of coaster section as the Guardians get back the cosmic generator, however the Celestial isn't giving up. The whole building too is covered in stars, so it really makes you feel like you're flying around in space. You then hit a set of trim brakes where the rocket opens another jump point for you to get back to, however he selects the wrong one, so you're once again flying through space. He then opens another jump point, however now you find yourself over the Milky Way galaxy. You then continue to twist around space before the Nova Corps finally arrives to help out. Out of all the models you see on this ride, the Milky Way is easily the coolest one. You then hit your second launch and you'll go back up to the top of the building. You'll then see the Nova Corps trying to contain the Celestial. They have now arrived to help you on the fight. And you'll then find yourself going down a double helix circling the moon. And the helix itself is quite intense. That was one of the biggest surprises on this entire ride. After this, you'll zoom past the Earth as you finally make it back to your home point. You'll enter one more jump point, which will take you right back to the exit station. The Guardians then thank you for your heroism, and you exit your ride vehicle and are back at Epcot in the Xandar Pavilion. The lighting that takes place during the exit tunnel is super cool. It really makes you feel like you were teleported because it starts off as a pitch black tunnel. You then see the jump point lighting come into play, and then boom, you're just in this nice, clear, white room. It's like, how the heck did they just do that in an instant? It's super, super impressive. So overall, the ride is phenomenal. That first launch isn't as intense as I may have wanted it to be. Like, you get that good kick, but I feel like it's more of sights as you get through that blue, like, teleporting kind of light. It's really cool, but it definitely is much more gradual. You feel yourself speeding up, but you definitely don't feel a kick, whereas like on Rock and Roller Coaster, you really feel that kick, whereas this one, you kind of just feel yourself gradually getting to that 65 miles an hour. The transitions are so well done. In the front, you really feel the forces and the speed a lot more, whereas in the back, you get pulled through some of those transitions a lot more. So you find yourself getting light pops of float or airtime, and you may feel the transitions, like the whip in the back, a little bit more than you would in the front. The thing that surprised me the most is you really feel the positives on this ride. Since your vehicle is spinning, it is controlled, so it never feels disorienting. It really is the perfect amount of spinning. And probably the biggest thing of this ride is that it is long. The coaster section itself is 2 whole minutes long. It is rare a coaster even lasts 2 minutes. So the fact that this ride here is 2 full minutes of just coaster from the second you launch to the brake run is really impressive because the ride just doesn't stop. It just keeps going. And when you think it's going to end, you find yourself launching, going up, and you twist back down again. It's like, does this ride ever end? And it doesn't. And I love that because the biggest thing with coasters is you come off and you're like, I wish that was a little longer. This one is. It's phenomenal. Also, this is probably the smoothest coaster I've ridden. Nothing feels wrong on this ride. There are no jolts, no potholes. Everything is just so smooth and fluid. It is an absolute phenomenal attraction from start to finish. So, in the end, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, without a doubt, is a win for Disney. It's without a doubt the best coaster in the park, and I would safely say the entire resort. For me, it used to be Space Mountain, and the ride is just perfect and modernized Space Mountain. The ride really is if Space Mountain was built today in 2022. Because Space Mountain, it's through the stars, but it's not the smoothest ride, and you can see the track. This ride, it is smooth, the stars are so much better, and it really feels like you're in space. Well, I don't think the theme itself works in Epcot. Like, I don't really believe the Guardians belong in Epcot. The coaster itself does. And the Guardians fit so well into that park at the end of the day. Even though I would love to disagree, they do really fit well in that park. Epcot was in desperate need of not only a coaster, but this kind of major e-ticket attraction. And it fits perfectly into the park's lineup. It's easily a 10 out of 10 ride. I would even personally say it's the best ride in all of Disney. Even better than Tower of Terror, which I can't believe I'm saying in rides like Avatar Flight of Passage and Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. I know a lot of people may disagree, but for me, it was just that good. Now, as a coaster, I don't even really know where to rank it. It's easily the most fun I've ever had on a coaster, and it's definitely my top 10. But I just really don't know, because I just smiled and laughed on a coaster, especially this one. But as a coaster, it definitely didn't feel as good as rides such as Iron Gwazi and Jurassic World Velocicoaster and Intimidator 305. Those are my top 3. So this ride, I feel like, doesn't go into that caliber of a coaster, but as an experience overall, it definitely does, because it is that good. It's pretty much a perfect ride. It's long, it's smooth, intense, highly themed, it has it all. So I highly recommend you all go down to Epcot and get a ride on Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind as soon as you can, because trust me, this ride is not one you want to wait even longer than 5 years for. So I highly recommend you go spend your time and money at Epcot. I know that's a lot, but trust me, at the end of the day, it is well worth it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review of Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. I hope you guys enjoyed this new set. We'll hopefully be utilizing it a lot more. And I'm very excited for the future of theme park hunting, especially with this video. It just proves that we have a lot of cool things coming very, very soon. So to hear more TPH content and make sure you don't miss the next video, then make sure you subscribe and turn on that notification bell. It's also the best way to support the channel. Like this video as well. And if you want to hear more about Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, then don't forget to check out my podcast, On the Hunt. And if you ever need non-copyrighted off-road footage or POVs, then check out my second channel, TPH Productions. All the links will be in the description down below. As always, this is Hunter from Theme Park Hunting. I'll see you guys later, and follow the thrill.